Bonjour, this is Riley. This is Kylie.
And this is Sarah.
And we're opening a t-shirt company in France. We're discussing topics that pertain to the success or failure of our t-shirt company.
Fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is when there is a government interaction to help stabilize the economy. The government can change the government spending or taxes to help achieve their goal. Fiscal policies are used in the short run and will need to be adjusted after a little while. Currently, France has a large amount of public debt. The government's main goal for the past several years has been to reduce the amount of their debt. Nicolas Sarkozy was president from May 2007 to May 2012. He used fiscal policies to try to reduce the debt. He put into place government spending, budget cuts, and tax increases. The country started heading in the right direction, but these policies were not doing enough. Francis Hollande was president in May 2012 to May 2017. Hollande believed that in order to decrease the debt, the government must put into place higher taxes on the wealthier people and keep the government spending the same. The current president is Emmanuel Macron, who took office in May of 2017. He is continuing to cut government spending because he wants to eventually take away high taxes.
GDP. GDP stands for Gross Domestic Product. It refers to the total value of goods produced and services provided in a country during 1 year. Currently, the real GDP in France is $39,673 US. This is a 3.92% increase from 2016's GDP per capita. France is actually the 10th richest country in the world, accumulating around $2.8 trillion. Despite being one of the top visited countries due to tourism, France has faced slow economic growth as well as growing unemployment. Gross domestic product is considered the most important measure for evaluating France's economy and is published by France's National Institution of Statistics and Economic Studies on an annual and quarterly basis. GDP is computed by production, expenditure, and income approaches. The production approach refers to the value and the difference between goods and services produced, added to the taxes on products, and then subtracting the subsidies on the products. The expenditure approach calculates the final amount spent on goods and services. The income approach calculates national income through labor income, rental income, interest income, and profits, and then any statistical discrepancies are removed.
France is currently in a trade deficit. A trade deficit is when a country is trading internationally and their imports exceed their exports. Being in a trade deficit can either be seen as a positive or a negative thing. Here's a video that will explain trade deficit even more.
The balance of trade is the difference between a country's imports and exports. A trade deficit occurs when a country buys or imports more goods from other countries than it sells or exports. The expenses going out of the country for imports is greater than the income coming in from exports. While a trade deficit could be an indication of less revenue being generated and hence resulting in a lower standard of living in the economy, it could also be a sign of economic expansion. When a country is going through an expansionary stage of its business cycle, aggregate income increases, which can trigger a rise in the demand for imported goods or services. A balance of trade deficit is favorable for domestic consumers as they enjoy a greater selection of goods and services at competing and lower prices. A trade surplus occurs.
France is ranked as the 6th largest export economy in the world. This is another reason it would be great to open a company in France because there would be lots of different trading opportunities. France also has a few tariffs. They are part of the harmonized trade system. Within this system, it has the EU Taxation and Customs Union, which will cover the tariffs for imports and exports. France uses tariffs to avoid unwanted or possibly dangerous goods from coming into their country.
Inflation is a sustained increase in the general price level of goods and services in an economy over a period of time. Here are the inflation rates for the last few years. As you can see, 2012 contained the highest inflation of 1.96%, and in 2017, France experienced a rate of 1.02%. Although France's inflation rate is not at an all-time high, the country is still experiencing inflation. Inflation is most commonly calculated by using the CPI for the year. Though they sometimes use historical harmonized or HICP to calculate their inflation rate, HICP usually produces lower percentage rates. The CPI inflation rate is used to show the current percentages by averaging prices spent on market baskets of goods.
Employment. France's number one industry is tourism because it is such an attractive place to be with many historical places. It is one of the top visited countries. Therefore, this would be a positive for our shirt company because there will be a lot more people that want to buy souvenirs. They are also known for their electronic and automobile industries that create many jobs. It is said that the wine industry is failing in France because they have been making an overload of wine, but no one is buying that much. Although they have been struggling to make fine, cheap wine, they are extremely good at making expensive fine wine. Based on the information provided throughout these slides, we have concluded that our company would be successful in France.
Au revoir.